Well, hello everyone. How's everyone doing? Today's random video is going to be a project, my first project that I've come across, a big project, I guess. And it's a big project, but it's simple. It's just how to build a queen size bed frame. I went ahead and got some tools. As you can see, I got my brand new miter saw there. I will have a review on that coming up too, but just trying to do something different again. I came across wanting to do a bed frame for a while, procrastinated, had some visitor come over. I'm like, this is the perfect opportunity to get this bed knocked out. So here we go. All right, well, first I want to give a shout out to the person who actually got these plans from. It's going to be from DIYPete. Yes, DIYPete. He also has a YouTube video. That's how I went to his video, saw the frames, went online, and downloaded the plans for it. So shout out to him. Here I begin by measuring the 4x4 posts that I chose for the stability of the headboard and the footboard. Again, those are 4x4, 10 feet long. Just measuring it. Starting to do my cutting. Now, even though I had the plans from the website, I did make just small modifications just so it could fit my room a little bit better. While I'm cutting the post for the footboard, I went with the height of 29.5 inches. For the headboard, I went with just a little bit of 4 feet. So is that 50 inches, I think, is what I did for the headboard. After cutting my footboards, I went ahead and began to actually do the framing of the footboard. After cutting the post for the footboards, I began to measure and cut the framing. This consisted of 2x4s. I used a horizontal top, bottom, and then little short 2x4s for the center and each end, the left, the right, and in the center for support. Now the top and the bottom board that is making up the frame, the top one is going to be 65.5 inches, and the bottom one is going to be 58.5 inches. The reason that the top is bigger is because it's going to cover the entire top from one side of the post, of the edge of the post, to the other side on the edge of the post, whereas the bottom one is going to be in between the post, if that makes any sense. Now the short vertical boards that's going to be in the center of the top and the bottom board, I did 5 of those, 15 inches in height for all of them, again using 2x4s. I put one on the left side, put one on the right side, and then 3 in the center. Now if you're a DIYer, if you like to do everything yourself and is trying to learn, one thing I would say is label your boards. Even though they're the same dimensions, same measurements, it just makes it easier to track and know ahead of time where you're going to put everything together. Now I'm beginning to make pocket holes on the top and bottom boards, as well as the 5 short vertical boards that's going to be in the center of the top and the bottom. Pay attention to the pocket holes that you make. I personally made a mistake. I'll show you here later on in the video the mistake that I made. Per their plans, it has laid out where the pocket holes should be. Again, I made a little bit modifications. I added a couple more because this was my first build, so I just wanted to make sure that everything was sturdy and steady. So you could go ahead and make a ton if you want. For the short vertical boards, I did 2 pocket holes on either side. And then for the top and bottom board of the footboard, I think I made 3. I think the plans call for 2, but like I said, I just added 1 more. And the jig I'm using here is from Armor Tool, as opposed to the other blue one, the other company, Craig. I just wanted to give them a shot. This is my first jig that I've owned, and it works pretty good. The assembly begins for the footboard and the headboard. Make sure you want to have a level surface, not on the driveway and incline like I have. You're going to make sure you use the pocket holes that you drilled out to top and bottom, and you're going to have some wood glue. If you're using the 24 volt max cobalt line like I have, the power tool, make sure your setting is on 10 or 11. Do not use the drill setting, as you have the potential of stripping off the head. Then you're going to repeat the process for the left, for the right, the outside, and then the 3 center boards. You're also going to measure out each board from the left to the right, whichever one you have. I think for the plan it calls 10 inches, 10 and a quarter inches, 10 and 1/4 spacing in between all. That way you have it all uniformed. And again, use glue and all the pocket holes that you drilled out. Once you're done, you could go ahead and stand it up, put it aside, because you're going to go do the headboard. Before we actually move on to the headboard or another piece, we need to put on the post. So the 4x4 post is going to go on either side. Obviously, I used an inch and a half spacer on the bottom. You can see there's a little gap from the ground to the actual framing. That's just to get the frame lined up pretty much centered on that 4x4 post. I used my clamps to keep both frames and the post together, and used the screws to go ahead and tighten them up. If you went ahead and aligned everything is sturdy. Once you stand it up, this is how it should look like. There was no wobbling to mine, so I'm assuming my measurements were pretty good. However, this is the part that I messed up earlier. Remember when I said earlier in the video that I messed up doing the pocket holes? Here, the horizontal board, the top and the bottom, I made the holes upside down pretty much. So I had to redo the pocket holes. That way, the way I'm securing them now is the correct way. All I had to do pretty much is take the top, put it on the bottom, and take the bottom and put it on the top. But I wasn't paying attention, and it was an honest mistake. So I had to just redo the holes. But as you can see, everything once again is lining up. Putting the bottom board on there and using the screws to tighten those up. Now we're gonna get to the face part, which the pickets pretty much. I used 4 of the 1x6 boards. I went ahead and cut it up to length earlier in the video, but just for this sake, I'm showing you after. That way we're in segments of the actual build that I'm doing. So once again, they're gonna be 4 pickets, 1x6 boards. If you have different dimensions, you could go ahead and obviously cut them down to the size that you need for your headboard frame. Go ahead and set the pickets on top of the headboard or the footboard, whichever one you made, and see if you need to make any adjustments. As you can see, the second one, I believe I had to just like shave off just a little bit so it could fit. I don't have a nailer. If you do, this would be great. So I had to use a hammer and nail. As you can see here, a close up. Just use a little hammer and nails and put them on the studs. Here I'm already wrapping it up, putting my last pickets on, my last nails on. I did use a finish, which is pretty much just a protectant. It's a sealer. I really didn't stain it or anything like that. Just you saw me earlier in the video, I sanded it down and just put a satin sealer on it. I didn't want it to change color. The room that I'm putting it on or in is pretty much a light colored room, so I didn't want anything darker than the wood that it already has on there. And this should be the finished product. Now I wasn't able to record on how I put everything together and how I cut the slats, cut the side rails and the side rail supports, but pretty much I used 2x8, 80 inches long, cut 2 of those for each side, and for the supports I use 2x2s, also 80 inches long. I put 3 pocket holes on each side rail for the top, bottom, and then I secured the supports just with regular wood screws to the side rails. The slats there that you see, I used 1x6s, I believe, 2x6s, and cut those to 61.5 inches so it could support the mattress. This was my first project, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and I'm able to provide some information for those guys who want to build them themselves. Thank you once again, and this is another video from Apex Random.